Hi everybody, welcome to Power of Knowing Forum's Knowledge Nexus, tech that moves you, ideas that scale you. Today we are discussing on the topic of the silent threat why healthcare hackers playground is a hacker's playground. A special welcome to all tuned to Power of Knowing Forum's weekly podcast series, episode 283 today. And to have a topic discussed, we have Mr. Jason Joseph, information security leader, award winning international technology executive, specialist in cybersecurity, information security, resilience, product trust, safety, and risk across multiple domains on infrastructure. Without further ado, let's welcome our speaker to the podcast event and begin the discussion. Hi, sir. Welcome to our podcast, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Sir, a small intro about yourself, your journey so far in the industry for the audience's benefit, sir.
With pleasure. So, I'm Jason. I am currently the CISO at Empocket Financial Services. I've previously been the CISO of and deputy to the CISO at a healthcare AI diagnostics firm. Healthcare remains close to my heart because it is an area which is not adequately addressed. Like sometimes feel that it's an area where it is growing and where cyber attacks can translate to things like loss of lives immediate impact. Now, speaking about my journey, I've been through multiple critical infrastructure sectors, energy, e-commerce, healthcare, BFSI being the major ones. I've started off as a developer, a red team guy, then moved on to become a cybersecurity architect and into leadership. That's been my journey so far, and thanks for having me. And I look forward to interacting with you all.
Thank you for that, sir. Just to start with, uh, if a single breach can shut down an ER mid surgery, are we living in borrowed time?
See, we absolutely are. That's how I will put it. See, when seconds matter, hackers
Hmm.
hold the clock. Okay. Now you take the Dusseldorf University Hospital example in 2020. There was this ransomware attack, which forced doctors to divert a patient mid-emergency, and that patient tragically did not make it. The case in point which I wanted to put is that this was just one breach, one delay, one life. Now imagine that scaled across multiple hospitals at once. The scary part isn't just that hackers can't do this. It's that they know also that healthcare has the lowest tolerance for downtime. See, for example, a factory can pause production, a bank can delay a transaction, but in an ER, every second is survival. So here, unless we shift from passive defense to active preparedness, we are on borrowed time. The narrative here is that downtime isn't just revenue; it's lost lives.
Exactly, sir. I think what we are looking at the cyber security arena that is going on, and everything is on a public domain today, and we are prone to get into attack surface anytime
Absolutely.
with what we have the tools which are coming up and the kind of tools that we are getting is uh, even the hacker using the tools more advanced than the protector. That is where I will put it. Now, did you know medical records sell for 10x more than credit cards? Why is it that headline every day, sir?
Right, right. See, let me put it this way.
Hmm.
There is the current parlance. There is also the concept that your medical history is the one password you can never reset. Now, let's say that you have a credential breach on the surface deep and dark web. Immediately, what is our response? We go and we change it.
Yeah.
This you can't do that with your medical history. That's
Hmm.
one. Extrapolate that to emerging genomic data theft risk, bioextortion, personalized targeting. Imagine where this goes. And to answer your question, it's true. Medical records sell for more than 10x than credit cards, and the reason is permanence.
Okay.
Okay, so on a dark web forum, a single complete medical record can fetch hundreds of dollars because it's not just personal data, but you can go on. I mean, either it is part of one complete dump, or you can dox it and go on. It will go on to insurance, prescriptions, family history. That's like, you look at it from a dark, web standpoint, or look at it from a cyber criminal standpoint. That's jackpot. And the scary part is, one more angle that we want to bring in is that we don't see these headlines daily because many HLS institutions do not even realize that the data is for sale.
Hmm.
And until that, kind of data is treated at par with financial data, we will continue to underestimate that this gold mine that we leave unguarded. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what would the world look like if healthcare is the biggest cyber nightmare happening tomorrow? So, if we see the healthcare with what you said right now, where
Right.
it is a chaos. Now, if a threat is happening to that scale, what would it look for us, sir?
Okay, I don't want to sound like a doomsday prophecy, but then, but then, imagine this scenario: doomsday. I have a coordinated ransomware attack, or let's say any sort of cyber attack which causes disruption.
Hmm.
What does that translate to? Chaos in care delivery, and critically, there is this concept in healthcare called the golden hour. You bring in a patient in the golden hour, the chances of you reversing the whatever healthcare condition is there, that the chances of that is pretty high. Now, this delay can translate not just to chaos, but across, let's take it across a wider geography. It can translate to loss of lives and multiple losses of lives. Now, if you look at World War II, there was Pearl Harbor. Okay, it was an immediate impact. Here, it is not entirely like Pearl Harbor, but essentially death by a thousand cyber cuts. Okay, so this coordinated ransomware would result in ambulances being rerouted, surgeries being cancelled, chemotherapy delayed. And by the way, this is not just science fiction. We saw a glimpse of what happened when WannaCry hit the UK's NHS in 2017. Shutting down thousands of appointments. Scale that up today with more connected devices and AI-powered attack, you will have systemic collapses. Yeah.
I think what you are saying is with the number of connected devices we are having today, the
Right.
chaos can be much more when it is not taken properly cared, right? So that's what you are trying to say. Now, why does every patch update feel like a gamble in the patient safety? So, because what we are talking is if there is one small mess that we do, it can create large reputational damage. One second is the patients also can be affected is what you're saying. Now, how does that patch management stuff come into picture here, sir?
So if you patch, I mean, with things like patching, it's a very tricky game. Now, if
Hmm.
you let's say if you roll out a patch, and especially with healthcare, then there is a lot of legacy stack which
Hmm.
is there across across systems. And when we are talking legacy, I'm talking of 30 years of legacy, 40 years of legacy. Now, some part of this can be mitigated. Thankfully, with AI coming into the picture, you can have ways and means of mitigating those patches, and those things. But then uh, these have over time evolved into interdependent, interconnected system, all of which pose huge security risk. Now, rolling out a patch here could mean that you can inadvertently send those systems offline. That's one of the biggest problems which HLS providers will have to grapple with. Second, if you are talking patches in the era of artificial intelligence, this could result in recalibration of AI algorithms, etc., which could result in, for all practical, let's say, purposes, result in a wrong diagnosis, wrong concoction of medicine, so on and so forth. These are the possibilities that we are looking towards in the future.
uh, we were talking about patching, right? Now, there would be sometimes a misconfiguration or a wrong overload clicked, right? So, how many breaches started because a overworked staff clicked the wrong link? Because everybody
Yes.
gets stressed, right? And today we are seeing everybody has a overload of work, right? So,
Yes.
what is your take on when a overworked staff click one wrong link?
See, hospital staff have long hours, long shifts. You look at, let's say, invasive surgeries. They run into tens or 12s of hours and beyond.
Hmm.
So there is, I mean, that's it's human factor. They will be exhausted. They will be moving fast, and they will be there is this principle in healthcare. They are primed to trust. They are healers, not hackers. And that's one thing which, that human fatigue for plus bias is something that that will definitely be exploited. Now, with all other domains, cybersecurity, the initial attack vector is mostly one wrong click somewhere, one click on a malicious link that can hand over an entire network in this case. So if you look at Verizon's DBIR, shows still that phishing is still the number one initial attack vector in healthcare. Okay, so that's one angle which I want to bring out.
Sir, how many, if you connect insulin pumps, can they be hacked? Where do they draw the line, sir? Because now we want to centralize medical treatment, right? Like one way of doing is a dosage of insulin for this patient and it is automated. You don't need to have. So that is the kind of an automation that we are looking forward, right? So what is that we are seeing as a risk here?
Oh yes. See, I hope at least somebody in the audience would have watched South Indian movie called CBI 5, wherein there
Hmm.
was a hack on a pacemaker.
Okay.
Is that doable? Is that not? Is a matter of debate. But living in a hyper-connected world, just like we have IoT and IIoT and all, there is a concept called IOMT, Internet of Medical Things. That's where
Okay.
we are going. Okay. Now, IOMT includes your pumps, your pacemakers, just like sir was saying, insulin pumps, pacemakers, surgical robots, and so on and so forth. And the thing is, every device is a digital doorway. The line is already blurred. Pacemakers, surgical robots, MRI machines, they are all connected. And research has shown that insulin pumps can be remotely manipulated. That's not just data loss. No, you can just tamper with the dosage, and that's direct patient harm. Extend that to nation state actors, the risk becomes geopolitical, or if it's a targeted, you can even assassinate a person. The fix is
Yeah.
actually simple in theory, like with all things security. So just like we wouldn't let strangers walk into an operating room, why should we let them walk in digitally? That's how I'd put it.
Okay. Now, the point that we are trying to look at is we are seeing a lot of technology advancements that are happening, but we should limit advancements to a stage where there needs a human interface and that has to be monitored. And with we getting it more automated, there is a risk of hacking, is what we are trying to say. Am I right in saying that, sir?
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
everything, see, everything digital, everything this thing. The more you adopt technology, you bring
Hmm.
with it the vulnerabilities of computers. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a simple one-to-one analogy.
Okay. Now, how do some hospitals still see cyber security as an optional spending? Because we had this issue while we started the IT systems, right? We were always saying
Right.
cyber security is a tick mark, right? Now it is going across the industries. Now hospitals also, even if you look at the layman's people, they still don't look cyber security as a concern, right? And it does not seem to be a major thing, but people are losing money when you look at banking side. Now why is that hospitals also are looking at this? Any pointers that you can add for us, sir?
Yes, because there are two or three angles that I'd like to bring out with respect to this question. See, as with all things security, as you have rightly pointed out, there is this concept that it's a cost, not an investment. That that goes across domains. Here it is not too different. The second part is, in certain geographies of the world there is pinpoint regulation with respect to all things personal data, including healthcare data as well. There are healthcare specific regulations in the United States, in certain other geographies in the world, which mandate these things. There's one research paper actually that I've written, which wherein I've researched a peer-reviewed research paper on healthcare cybersecurity, wherein ultimately I was researching on technical information security aspects. Ultimately, the problem lie in not we how we address the technological aspects, but about this point that you have brought about the willingness to do so, the quantum of investment that goes into these things, and that is actually there are some gaps in certain geographies in the world with respect to how regulation addresses cybersecurity resilience. Now, but let's not actually go ahead and say that okay, this is not only a regulation only problem, because cybersecurity in the healthcare sector is not about ROI in dollars, especially it's about ROI in trust. Patients will definitely avoid hospitals that will have suffered breaches, because who wants their let's say cancer diagnosis or even worse STD diagnosis to be leaked online?
Yeah.
That's huge. So, and ultimately, I would just put it as a simple statement: security is cheaper than a scandal. Simple as that.
Exactly. So the point that we are driving to is that when we come to healthcare,
Right.
we are going to fuel many things if we have one cyber breach. That's what we are trying to say in as many as words in the last 5 6 questions, saying that we, if there is a leak of data, the medical pharmaceuticals teams or the people know what kind of diseases and what kind of drugs are required for this person. As a basic example, one is that then they will have their personal data which is out in the market, which can be a bigger liability for their family members and others to look at their disease history, which is very dangerous, right? That's what we are trying to tell it in, as who should carry the ultimate accountability for healthcare cyber risk. Because we spoke about the pointers that are getting hit and what will happen if the data is it. Who is the accountable person, sir? Is it a CIO? Is it a CISO or the CEO? Who has to determine that, sir?
See, with all things cyber governance, again,
Hmm.
no one person would carry. I would hazard a guess that no one person, especially in this case, uh, carries ultimate accountability or responsibility. We have RACI matrices in regular cybersecurity governance. We have external and internal stakeholder arrangements. It's a primary requisite of ISO 27001, among other things. The reason we have all these things is because essentially, if you look at it, what does it tell you? It tells you that cybersecurity is a team sport. In case of healthcare, it's not just cybersecurity; it's cyber safety. That is a team sport. Accountability does not only want to belong to one role translated to cyber. It's shared. The CIO may run system. The CISO ensures defense. The CEO sets culture and budget. Cyber risk in healthcare is a board level issue. Just like patient safety is everyone's responsibility, so is digital safety.
Hmm.
And only, just to reiterate, it's a team sport. Everybody has a position, but only if all these things come together, then only do you win the game. And why? Oh, there should be, just like doctors have the Hippocrates oath. The same way, why don't we have a digital version of it for all responsible people in healthcare? That's one thing which I would definitely pitch.
I think what you're saying is we should we should take responsibility. Like in the IT systems, the cyber security responsibility is every individual in the organization. Now we are talking about everybody in the healthcare industry also should look at in such a way that every patient data is scrutinized. Who has the kind of an access? What is the access that is given to what patient? Is it public available for a doctor to come and see the records anytime, or it is on demand access? So I think what you're talking about is to put the right measures and ensure that the data is secure and is limited with proper access management, is what you're trying to say. Am I right in saying that, sir?
Absolutely, absolutely. Nothing beats basic cyber hygiene, including all those points that you've just listed down.
Why are incident response plans gathering dust instead of being rehearsed? Because we see lot of data is being collected. When an incident happens, we'll do this, but after that there is no drills. Why is that situation, sir?
See, just some time ago, we were responding. I'll take it step by step. We were talking about cybersecurity in the initial days being seen as a checklist
Yeah, yeah.
item. So now you have an IR plan, that box is ticked. Now that
Hmm.
PDF, or let's say, or let a conference document or something lying somewhere, is not actually something executable, something somebody has rehearsed, because plans in PDFs do not essentially save lives. Okay, so
Yeah,
once
yeah.
you that, but the truth is, if you have drills, just drills save lives. So regrettable that in many sectors, fire drills are taken a lot more seriously than these kind of cyber drills. And just like in certain sectors in India, we have mandates that, let's say, your CCMP or your IR drills or your resilience drills should be conducted uh, with certain periodicity. I would advocate for cyber drills should happen every 90 days. Role plays
Hmm.
are ransomware outbreaks, research, rehearse who does what, where backups are, how communication works. If you everybody knows what happened to the security aspect, we were not able to when ransomware attack happened in India, no less, in North India, not so long ago. We were not able to respond in time. There was severe outage. Having a
Hmm.
good response plan which is well rehearsed, augmented, and actually works, we do the which stands up at least to a breach attack simulation, is the need of the hour.
I think that has to be rehearsed is what we are pushing
Absolutely,
ahead,
absolutely.
right? Can AI be trusted to protect hospitals when AI is also getting also hacked by them?
See, it's the classic AI versus AI
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
debate. Okay, so it's like replace defenders with AI will replaced without it. That's the paradox. AI is both the scalpel and the sword. On one hand, AI is helping defenders by spotting anomalies across millions of patient records in real time. That's one use case. The other hand, cyber criminals are already using AI to write polymorphic malware, which launches automatic phishing campaigns. The key isn't asking whether we can just trust AI; it's whether we can govern it. AI should never replace human judgment in healthcare security. It should amplify it. Just like a doctor, double check. Now we have all sorts of AI healthcare diagnostics, assisted diagnostics, and all. Just like that, but there is a mandate for a doctor to double check this by law and even otherwise. Cyber defenders also need to keep a human in the loop element. So, just to sum up, the future isn't AI versus humans; it's AI augmented humans versus AI augmented attackers. And just like all domains, whoever builds that partnership better, they will win.
Very important point, I think, because going forward without AI, it is like when we started using the Google, this one, where search engine, if we move Google search engine today, we are nowhere left, right? Tomorrow, I think AI with getting that kind of a power, we have to adopt it. There is no other option, is what I think, what we are going ahead. Why are compliance checklists failing in real world breach tests?
See, because compliance is about minimum standards.
Hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
so whenever I am essentially, if you look at all regulatory or compliance, the GRC element of it, it's not necessarily holding you to the highest standards. Now, put this in context. Uh, Compliance is about minimum standards. Let's take that premise. Attackers do not play by minimums. HIPAA, GDPR
Hmm.
checkboxes, if you make them about passing audits, it will most certainly not survive an adversarial attack. We need adaptive security, continuous monitoring, red teaming, threat hunting. Compliance should be the floor, not the ceiling. And passing an audit is not, essentially surviving an attack. So it ties back to the previous question also that you had asked me. It's not just about plans on paper. It's about how many drills that we have, whether and understanding what the technical risks are and what do we have at hand and how are we improving to mitigate that.
I think point is very valid that we'll have to have a mitigation plan, right? That's
Absolutely.
what we are trying to look at. If you had to start today, what's the absolute minimum to secure a clinic? Because it starts with a small this one as we start, right? A clinic. What are the basic things that we should look at?
See, think of it like, since we are discussing healthcare, think of it like hospital hygiene. Hand washing may be simple, but it
Hmm.
prevents a majority of infections. Cyber hygiene is the same. Basics first, breaches last. Minimum is basics. MFA everywhere, regular
Hmm.
backups tested offline, timely patching, and staff trained against phishing. These are very much achievable in a clinic setup. Yeah, MFA everywhere. This is something most people can configure. This thing,
Yeah.
backups tested offline, timely patching in a grid connected network where most hospitals, clinics, or let's say primary to tertiary, everybody is connected. This is something you can remotely deploy. But this may sound simple to many people, but then that reduces the attack surface quite a lot. It
Hmm.
addresses about, I would say, more than 80% of common attack vectors.
No, today we should start with if we are starting a clinic and there is an IT required. I think what you are saying is first basics. Breaches will be the last. I think that's where we should look at is what I
Absolutely,
would.
absolutely. We narrow down that attack surface as much as possible. It makes it incrementally difficult.
Hmm. Sir, now looking at cyber security, it's a cost element, right? It is
Oh,
always
absolutely.
there's a cost that is there. Now, in small towns where we have the fight hackers with big city budgets, how do we look at that, sir? Because big hospitals have planned budgets for IT, everything, right?
Right.
Now, in a small town, if I had to do, what is that I should be looking at?
We have the concept of crowdsourcing for
Hmm.
ideas. We have the concept of crowdsourcing for finances in many pockets in rural India and even other countries of the world, and those things have worked beautifully over generations. Why
Hmm.
can't we do the same thing for cybersecurity? Collaboration is key. See, small hospitals, point taken, that cannot afford full socks, but jointly you can have a, let's say, community SOC or jointly managed security services, regional
Hmm.
intelligence sharing. Let's say government subsidies also might, and I think most governments would be more than happy to subsidize these kind of things. Think of it like a rural fire department. We are talking
Hmm.
fire safety just so not so long ago. They may not have every engine, but through mutual aid and they can respond faster. And it's also one last point which I'd like to say is whatever available budget that you have, you prioritize it. It has to be smartly put in areas which you foresee will be the highest risk, and for that again testing and drills and all will give you better insight.
And I was part of one cybersecurity forum recently,
Right.
and we did a kind of pointer. Just want to bring it up because we were talking about small size budgets and stuff like that, right? Just now, in this
Right.
question, we were about 20 odd CIOs and CISOs sitting together and seeing. We split ourselves and said, "You take the budgets. You act as a finance. I act as a CEO, a CISO." and how do I bring in new elements when I have to bring it for a small organization. Then we started looking at what are the minimum required, same pointer, what is that has to be looked at the minimum. Then we look at what is the cost elements that are there which can need budgets and approvals. Now, in hand, what we can do with the current budgets, right? So, if you can bifurcate that, that would help, is what we came out as a solution. But I think that's the same policy that we are trying to adopt here also. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And just to add one single point, uh, where do you put it first? Will most likely will be where you foresee the highest risk. That
Yeah,
prioritization happens that way.
right. So, what's the smartest way to spend the first 50K of a cyber security budget? We just spoke about it, but I want to start getting into a detailing stuff. If I have a 50K budget, what should I prioritize and start first as a this one to start cybersecurity?
That's very decent money in India, not so decent money in
US.
yeah, US and many other countries in the world. So there will be this thing. But having said that, let's say that okay, that's I'll try to do justice towards that. Now I would say again, just to reiterate the same point, spend it where it saves lives. Awareness training, MFA, that's very important because we were discussing about that one click which compromises an entire network. Multi-factor authentication,
Hmm.
EDRs, endpoint detection and response, and incident response plans, drills, and community socks. Technology here is important. Our people here will be the biggest gap because they are implicitly, the healthcare industry is implicitly tuned to trust. So the smartest spend is not the shiniest tool here. It's that one
Hmm.
person who prevents that first click becoming a crisis. I would put the first money that I would have on awareness, then moving on to multi-factor security, individuals securing the endpoints. Endpoints include the devices wherever you could put an EDR, and then move on to the incident response element.
No, you are talking about a risk-based budget. That's what we are talking about, right?
Yes,
Where we
absolutely.
see look at which is the first critical element that needs the first hand to protect ourselves, then align that into patient safety, right? That's what we are
Yes,
talking about.
yes.
Now, we had this structure of having access to anything and everything, right? Now, without we used to get a request form saying that I need access for certain resource or a certain server. After that, we forgot completely, and that access is not deviated. Taking that as a cue, why is zero trust no longer a luxury in the healthcare sector?
See, it was, I would say, with all things, this thing, we have moved on from many critical infrastructure sectors, have moved on from a always trust, always verify concept to trust no one, verify everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. And why in healthcare? Because hospitals are too porous. Staff move between wards, contractors connect remotely, devices talk across flat networks.
Hmm.
And why is that a problem? Because one breach will spread everywhere.
Yeah.
Zero trust will mitigate this. It means segmenting, verifying each user and device. Just put this thing. Let's say it prevents a stolen nurse's password from becoming a hospital-wide catastrophe. And
Right.
ultimately, what we should all realize is that the trust is for patients, not for networks. In cybersecurity, I mean, it's a general thing in cybersecurity. We verify everyone every time.
No, your point is very valid when we talk about trust, because we just spoke about it, right?
Yes,
The accesses are given, we don't review those accesses, and post which we find there are people who have left the organization but their accounts are not deactivated and stuff. Now, I think what you are saying is going to bring zero trust there. That means I don't trust you at all, whether you have an access or not. You have to go through the formal way of getting the access. You are not a
absolutely,
trusted source, right? So that's what we are
absolutely.
talking about. Now, imagine a hospital where hackers can't even knock a door. What's inside? How do we look at that?
So I would say that the hospital would, if if that's the case, the hospital would run on AI-driven anomaly detection, quantum safe encryption, self-healing networks, those things which are, very good to have. Here in these kind of scenarios, attackers won't just be blocked; they'll be anticipated and neutralized. We are going proactive here.
Hmm.
Now, this may sound futuristic, but elements of this, if you look around, exist today in many sectors.
Yeah.
The untouchable hospital that we are talking about right now, envisioning, isn't just a dream per se. We talk about, when we talk about hospital management, when we talk about hospital design, and there is this concept called CPTED, wherein you design, there is security by design of physical structures onwards by default. It's a design choice. The million-dollar question here is, do we want to build it now or wait until hackers force our hand?
Now that's a very valid point. Now I think with the privacy operations coming in, and we look at every data that has to be looked at, and if there is a breach, and you are entitled to hefty fines, right? So that's where we are moving ahead, and every asset or every resource is to be safeguarded. That's what we are looking at, and that's where we are looking. Maybe an untouchable hospital by 2030 is one envisioned pointer that we can look at, right, Jason sir?
Absolutely, I'll look forward. We'll look forward to that.
uh, Cloud security has become number one reason patients choose their hospitals.
Cloud security, or I would extrapolate to say that, okay, could cyber security, become
Hmm.
the number one reason why patients
Yeah.
choose the hospital? Absolutely, yes. Because just like we check hospital ratings, you
Hmm.
can do it online now. Patients will soon check or should evolve to check their cyber ratings. That is one way to actually enforce, cyber security adherence in this sector. Because see, a breach destroys trust. Imagine your psychiatric records, STD records, fertility history, cancer history leaked online. Patients will definitely avoid insecure hospitals at the same way that they avoid unhygienic ones. It's because, and ultimately it's part of the patient experience,
Hmm.
which drives a patient to a hospital. It's not just by not just a random choice anymore.
Now, I think with the advancement of technology and the ease of use, every hospital wants to look at having a great user experience, right? One is that. The second is how frequent and how secure their data is, right? And they are looking at apps which are very secure. They are having multi-factor authentication to have their records. I think that's the way forward. I think, Jason sir, what is your take on that, Jason?
No, absolutely, absolutely. So this is where we should go. Generally speaking, as a populace, generally speaking,
Hmm.
in terms both from both sides, from the patient side as well as from the medical, the community side. This is where we should go together.
Now we were talking about defending systems, right?
Yes.
What if your doctor became a cyber defender by design? Is that a possibility?
That we speak about. We not speak about. We've seen that movie Gajini and all, where then you have alternative personalities, right? So. Uh, See, they are implicitly trained to trust. That's part of the reason
Hmm.
why there is a big uptick in the number of, let's say, social engineering based attacks on these sectors. But having said that, the question is, why do we not add? What is preventing us from adding a new dimension to a doctor becoming a cyber defender? And if we
Hmm.
manage to do so, it would transform healthcare. If doctors understood phishing,
Yeah.
ransomware, and IOMT risks as part of their medical training, hospitals, think of it this way, hospitals will have thousands of healers and thousands of human firewalls as well. Gamified
Hmm.
training integrated into the medical curriculum, this can make it real. And they, anyways, practice this normal hygiene. So, why not add a new dimension as cyber hygiene? And every healer could be a guardian. That's exactly the future that we need.
Wonderful. I think healing with protection is what we are talking about. when we look at
Absolutely.
data side, and we look at the trust that we are building when we have a secure system, right? That's what we are trying to look at. Now, coming to the last pointer that I have for today's discussion: can healthcare lead the world in ethical AI security?
Okay, the last, the best for the last, isn't it? See, it is a multi-dimensional thing. When I'm
Hmm.
talking of healthcare and AI, uh, I worked in companies which used AI to diagnose cardiovascular diseases. Now, wherever this tool was deployed, it brought down the requirements of the golden hour. I mean, the golden. So wherever this was deployed, this brought down the response time towards 6 minutes when within the golden hour. Previously, the case was that it was wherever it was a greenfield area wherein a tertiary response would take up to 4 hours. Now that's the
Hmm.
power of artificial intelligence assisted diagnosis in healthcare. I mean, with a human in the loop, of course, caveat included. But to answer your question, so narrowing down on cybersecurity, uh, can healthcare lead the world in ethical AI security? Essentially, yes, it must. Healthcare is that one sector where ethics and AI collide head on. Here, biased algorithms or insecure AI could cost lives. If
Yeah.
hospitals pioneer frameworks for transparent, bias-free AI-resistant, yeah, attack-resistant AI, model drift, and all of those things is something which OWASP keeps screaming about. That has to be addressed, and other industries will follow. The reason being is that here there is an expectation that everything that healthcare does, and that is normal as well, should be of the highest standards because we are essentially dealing with patient lives here. An attack on, let's say, a financial system will leave you maximum to, let's say, some sort of financial loss or something. An attack on other sectors and all, I mean, transportation, it's disruption, etc. Here, this is direct loss of lives. So the kind of quality of research, the quality of tech, the quality of frameworks that they bring about it will be looked up to, and it puts this domain in a unique position to drive things, put them in the driving seat. And I would say that healing with honor, secured by AI, that's where healthcare can lead the world. Actually,
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. When we say we are healing with honor, we are dignifying the doctor, saying that you are doing your honor, but let's secure the systems by using AI. So
so
that's what we trying. Sir, with this we are on the top. I'll just summarize on the few pointers that we discussed over the last 40 minutes. We started with where ER and where we're borrowing time, right? That's where we started. Then we spoke about if the data is stolen, what it could be worth than more a credit card, because that isn't in the headline every day, because that kind of a theft is costlier than a credit card theft, is what we spoke about in the start of the session. Then
absolutely,
cyber criminals are more confidently targeting hospitals than banks. I think that's where the major data is there, is what we spoke about. Then we spoke about what could be the world when there is a cyber crime that happens in an hospital. What could be a way that we can envisage? We had a brief discussion on that. We spoke some of the pain challenges that we spoke about. Then we spoke about AI, and the hacker is using AI also. AI for us and for the security, right? So that's where we spoke about. Then we spoke about why compliance checklists are failing when breach tests are happening. That is one thing. Also, we spoke about some nuances in terms of somebody coming into the hospital sector where they bring in a new clinic or something, and how they can look at what kind of budgets they can look at. If they have a minimum budget, what is that they can look at? What is the most critical pointer that they can look at to start is to protect patients' data. So that's where we spoke about. Then we spoke about zero trust, which is the game changer in today's cybersecurity arena, where you don't trust anybody, but you only give access when it is required and for a specific period, and it does not go beyond that. So that's kind of a zero trust that we. And we spoke one of the important pointer, where we said cyber security becomes the top reason for patients choosing a particular hospital or this specific hospital, because they are having their records secured in. And one important point we spoke about, can a doctor be also be a security person who can, he can be a healer as a guardian as well. So that's where we spoke. And finally we spoke about how healing with honor and securing with AI is what we spoke on an overall period of 45 minutes now. And with this we would like to conclude any this session. We wanted to have your final words, if there is anything that you want to pass as a message to our audience.
See, I would put it this way: in healthcare, the real virus isn't just digital, it's complacency. Firewalls can be rebuilt, but trust once lost is gone forever. And if healthcare life sciences, the domain wants to heal, they must also first protect the data, the systems that keep those bodies alive.
Uh, Thank you for that, Jason sir. I am scrolling Jason sir's LinkedIn link. You can connect with Jason sir down, which is there scrolling there. You can have a discussion, connect with him, find out what exactly is cybersecurity, what. And to add, what we are also having is a seminar that's coming up on the 4th of September. I'm bringing the pointer here where you can register, and Jason sir and myself are available in the seminar to meet you in person. We can meet and more discuss more. This is a leadership AI and cybersecurity summit, which is a big event happening in Bangalore on the 4th of September in Whitefield. Please do register. This is the link that is there. I am also scrolling the same thing on the link down here. You can scroll, you can scan it and register for the event. Please do join us and we'll connect there. Sir, thank you for being here, Jason sir. It's been wonderful having you today here. And with this, we would like to conclude the session, and thank you for joining us, sir.
It was a pleasure, Prem Kumar sir, and it was a pleasure having the audience. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.